Do you want to be a part of the CoCo community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCo Nation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, CoCo Thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, CoCo commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or CoCoTECH. Join the CoCo Nation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCo Nation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
Hello, we hear everybody now? Is this us? Okay, I think we're here. I think we're live. Hopefully all 2 people watching are nice and bored so far. Okay, so is my view? My view looks good now. Okay, so I have here Ken Wilmot, otherwise known as Captain Kirchhoff. Is that how it's pronounced?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Actually, Kirchhoff. I think it's Kirchhoff.
Kirchhoff, okay. Gotcha. Oh, Wayne Campbell says, okay, I can hear you now. Thank you, Wayne. Technical problems, first world problems, and, I don't do this often enough, and I really need to. The good thing, though, is I've not dropped any frames, and I don't have anything going into the red on my CPU, so this amount of Zoom callers is doing fine. Okay, so, Ken, this is all for you. No asparagus. If people don't like this, they can just go watch cat videos. We want to talk about your MC-10 memory board. I think it's kind of a cool idea with a little MMU. I could see, man, the way you're trying to set this up, I think it could be a pretty easy thing for people to add to their MC-10s, and then there'll be potential of doing much, much more stuff. So we don't have a very large audience, but they can ask questions, and maybe questions later you might get to answer. But okay, let us go. I'm going to pin you, and let's see, let's pin you. There we go, your full screen. Okay, looks like Jim, Gary, Wayne Campbell are both watching, so those are our 2 in our audience. And we have, what do we have? Let me drag this somewhere out of the way. Stick it up here. So that's me. It's my other machine that's dead. So, Ken, make sure you can speak and everybody can hear you.
Hello, hello.
Is he loud enough? I hope so. Tell us if you can hear Ken. Jim Gary, of course, is the guy who ports all the games to the MC-10, so he's like thrilled.
I'm thrilled to have Jim Gary on the show.
I'm sure he'll ask us some good questions too. So I'll keep an eye on the chat, and you just roll with it. So start where you want, and let's talk about your MC-10 products.
Very good, sir. So my name is Ken Wilmot. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, and my main interest in the CoCo universe or whatever is the TRS-80 MC-10, which is a very junior version of the TRS-80 CoCo 1, 2, and 3, which were successive versions of the CoCo. And both the CoCo and the MC-10, this little gizmo here, came out in the 80s. This is just some background for people who wonder, who just need some context. And I the reason I like it so much is well, I have several reasons. One is that I like an underdog. You know, like if something's kind of got to push a little bit harder to make it, I'm rooting for it, you know. And this little device really needs a lot of help. And I'll start to explain why. And but before that, so I have a very long time ago electronics background, and I just couldn't help resist playing with it. Also, a friend of mine owned one back in the 80s, and so at that time I wrote a little machine language program that he used with BASIC to make a game, which was pretty interesting considering that we really weren't talking to anybody else. And I might have had to dig pretty deep into the pile of data books and stuff to figure out how to do that. It's a long time ago memory, but it stuck with me. And when I saw it, I instantly had to have one. So I got one. Now I have 6 of them. And but the main reason I have 6 of them is so I can dissect them and work on them and improve them. And so uh, I began researching the improvements that people have done over the years. And the very first one, the most obvious one, is the memory upgrade because the MC-10, which is I'll just show you the front of it here. So this is the front of the MC-10. It's not very large. It's hard to judge the size, but it's basically very small. You know, chiclet keyboard. And the whole thing is just very, very um, miniaturized. And also, it was designed to compete with the Sinclair ZX81, which was sort of at that time they're trying to compete on cost. It, for some computers, like they thought that if people didn't want to pay $600 to $2,000 for a computer, maybe they would buy one for a couple of hundred. So everyone was trying to do that. Radio Shack tried to do that, and they came up with this thing. And actually, it has a lot better than the ZX81 because it has color. This is the display over here. So I've got some semi-graphics display, and but it does not have full graphics. It only as it's supplied, it only has what are called semi-graphics. And the amazing thing is that it only has, from the manufacturer, only 4 kilobytes of RAM or read-only memory, which means that you quickly run out if you are a basic programmer, you're quickly running out of lines, and the memory is going to fill up extremely fast, just as you're getting on a roll and getting some great ideas. And we go out of memory, and there's nothing well, I was going to say there's nothing you can do, but Radio Shack had an answer to that. They came up with a little attachment that you could put on the back that would add 16K. So you have a total of 20K. But there's a catch. And the catch is that these types of computers use a thing called memory mapped video. And that means that the whole display contents are in the computer's main memory, where the CPU also shares it. So this display is also part of the 4K that it ships with. And because of that, they couldn't do graphics. They could only do this semi-graphics, which uses a half a K. So you'd have 3.5K left for your own program. And so lots of people went out and got the 16K expansion memory pack, which would plug into the back of the machine here. But there's a catch. The catch is that the 16K in the expansion module that you could buy for, I'm not sure how much it was, but probably about $100 or $200, cannot be used for display memory because the architecture of the machine prohibits it. This machine has two memory areas, and one of them is on board, and the other one is whatever extra memory you attach to the back. And again, you can use graphics on the machine, but you cannot use graphics mapped to anything external. So that means that strangely you can do graphics with the hardware is all here to do graphics, and the only problem is there's not enough memory for it. You can use up to 6 kilobytes of display memory for the display, but since there isn't 6 kilobytes and it's shared with your basic code, it's not a way to go. So a couple of people started poking into the architecture of this the internals of this box, and this is what they came up with. So here's inside the machine, and you'll see this big giant RF shield on the front, and I would like to show you under it, but it's soldered on. I don't have. I can show you a picture later. What's under here? But several people, starting with someone who published back in the 80s, figured out a way to piggyback the extra RAM chips onto here to give it 8 kilobytes, which is enough to do graphics. And so you could, even though a basic that's supplied with it does not support those graphic modes, they're possible with games and custom software. You can do it yourself with pokes. And then another gentleman found a slightly different way to do another 8K upgrade. And that's on the web. I'm sorry, I don't have the link for that ready right now. But if you search, you'll find it. So I looked at both of those upgrades, and I was actually ready to do something with it. So I was going to do one of those upgrades. And so I had my machine open and everything, and then I started thinking about it. And it occurred to me that maybe they're not really taking advantage of the best modern technology that's around. And I had been playing with a 32 kilobyte RAM chip on my single board computers. And I thought, hey, this one could just go on there, and I have 32K, which is 4 times what people have been adding. And So after this began really almost 2 years ago, I think. And I'm going to try and fast forward through my development process because it's tedious. But the uh, the early versions that I built of it were manually installed using all the chips were piggybacked, pins bent up, wires all over the place, and but it worked. And so I started refining the design, and I I posted it in the MC-10 thread on the the uh, CoCo Discord um, site. So now at that time it looked pretty horrible for anyone to do. You'd have to be pretty desperate to do it. So, but it was pretty neat because it was working, and it was a full 32K, and it was. I thought people might be interested, but not this way. So it has to become something easier that people can handle, because actually a lot about this machine is kind of hard to work on. Like, it's very small compared with some other personal computers of the era. They had to make it very tiny. So there's not a lot of clearances inside, and it's just very awkward. And then the everything's hard soldered on. So if you need to remove something, it's verging on professional soldering work. But it is possible though for a a very patient amateur to, say, for example, to remove this shield which is soldered on, and you need to do that to get in here to do the work. But I thought, yeah, there's a few steps, but when you get past them, you shouldn't be faced with a big pile of stuff to do, right? So I started working on getting it onto a PC board. And here's sort of the very latest version. I'll try and get it up here. And
Almost focusing.
it might not, yeah, it might have a trouble focusing. Anyway, so there's zip all on the back. Now these pins fit into the two RAM positions on the board that are available when you remove the RAMs. So you're replacing the RAMs that are on the board and putting this in place. And I think I'll try showing some pictures here because I'm making a lot of word salad and it might not make sense. So let's see if I can share out. First I need to find, let's see now. I need to find this. Okay. Sorry, folks, that part is not working. So what I'll do instead, I will do it this way. Sorry, folks. Okay, I need to share it. So we're going to share this. And I hope this is going to work. Okay, it looks like we're sharing out this diagram. I have a message saying that you can see it. I hope you can. So what I have here is did it go back to my video? Or are you looking at a diagram? Good.
Yes,
okay.
I can see a diagram.
Good. So On the left, so the electronics in the MC-10 has a very simple approach to memory decoding, which is assigning the devices to different areas of memory that they belong in. And what it does is it divides the 64K total available to the CPU into 4 segments, and then it just plunks stuff into there. So now the CPU itself has a little bit of memory at the bottom. So look down the column that says existing on the left-hand side, and this shows you what an off-the-shelf MC-10 should look like. And it shows some things that you don't ordinarily worry about or don't may not know about. So at starting at 0, the CPU has its own stuff. It's got registers and it's got its own internal memory. And that's got nothing to do with the MC-10 or the processor that they're using, which is the MC-6803. I'm sorry, it's got everything to do with the 6803 and nothing to do with the MC-10. It just comes with the processor, right? Going up from there, starting around hex 4000, which is 1/4 of the way up the existing, shows 4K of VRAM, and that's the onboard memory that they supplied with it. It's two 2K RAM chips, a pair of 2K RAM chips. And then that RAM is then mirrored 3 times because the decoding is incomplete. It's sort of a fudge. And so the same data appears in 4 different places, but you only use it at the bottom. Notwithstanding that, if you peeked, you would see it there in the other 3 places as well, with the caveat that you cannot write to the odd numbered pages. So the first one you can write to, the second one you cannot, the third one you can write to, the third one you cannot. And the reason why they did that is they had to have a way that when BASIC starts up, it looks to see how much memory is available, and it has a very simple-minded memory test. If there were not a special circuit to prevent it, it would go and it would see 16K of RAM there. It would report it and it would try to use it, which would be a disaster. So all those mirror images are phantom images. They're not actual. They're just accidental artifacts of the design. And then
proper decoding.
Yeah, it's lazy decoding.
Oh. Yeah.
Now again, like, this is a cost-saving machine. Like, they if there's time, I thought I would spend some time denigrating it, because there are a lot of things that they did in the design that are disliked by people now. They look at it and they go, why did they do that?
We used to have a whole segment on why did Candy do that, and lots of explanations.
Yeah. Just for example, it has a built-in...
Cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap, right? And they were probably under a lot of pressure to keep every possible cut every possible corner. The CPU has a dedicated high-speed serial interface. They didn't use it. Why? Cost. They just thought, well, It's a few extra parts to use it, and what do we need it for? We're just running a printer. Some kind of reasoning like that, right?
They could have made a great terminal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it still could, but the serial on it, as a consequence, is bit banged serial.
Right, like on the CoCo. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so there's limitations on the speed and efficiency of it, and it also impacts other software that's running with it because it requires constant CPU intervention to work.
And
So
that's the bane of pulled versus interrupt driven. Just the way it is.
yeah, I don't think they could have even yeah, to make it interrupt driven is another level, an additional level of goodness that they gave up when they gave up on the hardware serial port. Anyway, that was just supposed to be an example of things that they overlooked or passed over. Huge opportunities that they kind of just, no, whatever. But they were under probably very, 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 very high pressure to keep the costs down. So they had to use a lot of tricks and really simple decoding. You can see that here now. You can see that an entire quarter of the machine's memory is given up to one video control latch location and another keyboard input latch, which they share. They share a location, but because of the crude decoding, it uses up a quarter of the machine's memory. And above that, in the upper quadrant, shall we say, they have the ROM is decoded. And the ROM is only an 8K ROM, but there's room for 16 there in the decoding scheme. It's just they didn't have or need or want 16K, so they installed an 8K ROM. And again, it is mirrored. So if you look for it there, you'll see an identical copy of the ROM halfway through the upper 16K. So this is what you're handed when you begin working on this system. And what the 8K memory upgrades do is they leave everything else exactly the same, but they remove the circuit that creates this read-only mirror, all of them, and they replace the 4K VRAM, which is shown in purple at the bottom of the second quadrant. They replace that with an 8K. So there's two ways to do it. One is to piggyback two extra 2K RAMs on top of the existing 2K. So you've got 2 times 4 equals 8. The other way is you can use one 8K RAM. Either way, you end up with 8K in the first half of the second quadrant, and it might be mirrored or not.
So
I guess it can't be.
So
it
the
can't be.
first extra 4K takes the second chunk there. So you suddenly have
Yes.
8K of VRAM and then a mirror of 8K. Is that what it looks like?
Yeah. It must have a mirror. It has to have one so that BASIC doesn't run amok when it's doing its memory check. So, so when this goes back to my design thinking, I thought, okay, so I've got 32K. Where's it going to go? And there were some discussions about that online, and other people were voicing opinions about it. And they say, like, it would be great if you could put it here or you could put it there, and why don't you put it here? And I had a different sort of idea, because I knew that the things that they were asking for would involve fairly complex logic. And my sort of hobby or challenge to myself is to design things with the least possible parts, and and still have it good. So I usually start from the other end. I go, look, well, I've got something. What's the easiest way to use it? And then, is it really awful the way I did it? But that comes at the end, right? So, so I thought, I have 32K. Bing. I'll put it in the obvious place, which is at the bottom, right? So it's going to fill up the first 32K of all of RAM. And that is
Right
what
up
you
to the I/O
see.
space.
Yes.
By the way, where'd
And
you
that
get
is,
this diagram? Did you make this, or did you find it?
I made this. It's a spreadsheet that I made so
Awesome.
that I myself would not get confused.
Awesome.
Uh, and because it gets complicated. uh, so 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 on the third column under 32K mod, now it's showing how that 32K RAM is installed. So it occupies now the entire lower part of memory, but not the CPU area, because the CPU owns that space, but it's only 256 bytes. So all except for 256 bytes is RAM. And so what happens when uh, you run BASIC? And what happens? It doesn't know about the hardware. It just only sees the memory map, and it runs, right? But it runs with its rules. So when you install this board, what happens is it sees this 16K beginning at halfway up, sorry, a quarter of the way up at hex 4000, and it tests it. It finds that it's good, and it fails when it hits I/O. So it says, fine, I have 16K. And so that's what it'll report. It reports a little bit less because BASIC needs a little bit of stuff for its own internal stuff. And you get a little bit over 12K this way. And but there's a few more little things about it. So there's two additional features which I couldn't resist throwing in because they were easy. It sort of fell out of the design, right? The first is that on my SBCs, I realized early on that it's extremely easy to do a battery backup on static RAM, so I did it. And so this 32K RAM is battery backed up, and if I can just go, I'm going to risk going back to the camera to show you. Yeah, so this one, oh, it's going to be a problem. The light isn't very good, and I'm shaking too much. But you can see that there's a little cell holder
Coin
there.
cell there. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
little fuzzy,
coin cell holder.
but you can see it.
Now, if you put a coin cell in there, it's battery backed up. If you don't want to do it that way, you can leave that empty or not install it, and then there's a pair of pins that you can run wires off to your own battery somewhere, wherever you want. But I thought it would be a good idea to put it, just to keep the wiring to a minimum, just at least give the option that yes, you can do it on board if you want. And the second feature is video paging. So there is there's a multiplexer circuit in the device that alternates between the memory address that is used by the display chip and the memory address that is used by the CPU. And if you feed that multiplex circuit with a couple of selects, you can choose where to put the active display. And I'll try again. I have to go try to go back to the share to really to really make sense. I hope. And so what that means is that
Looks good.
If you look towards the 32K mod now, the video display generator chip, the 6847 that produces the video in this machine, has in the original machine, it has a fixed display offset, if you want to call it that. So
it's a video buffer. The video buffer is fixed in memory.
Yeah, like I want to, like, it's a little bit weird. It's a little bit different talking about it on this machine, because normally a video buffer is dedicated to video, but in this case it's shared by everybody, like basic games, everybody. There is only one memory, and the video buffer is sort of defined as that part of the memory that the video chip is set up to
Scan and display.
To scan, right?
Yeah, and display.
And it's in the MC-10. It's fixed at 4,000, and that's why in the existing it shows up there as 4K VRAM. I could have put just 4K general purpose. In fact, because they do not use graphics, they are using only a 512 byte segment at the very bottom of that. So, but it can only be at 4,000. With the circuit that I've got in here, though, you can choose one of 4 locations. It can be at 6,000, 4,000, 2,000, or 0. And I can do it here over on my machine here. I just do a poke. And it will display a completely different page. Basic is still running and everything. Oh, I'm sorry. I realize now you can't see what I'm doing. Find the button to turn this off.
Your video camera picture is small on the right side, so you can kind of see it, but it's much better
Oh,
if you do
okay.
that. So.
Okay.
Yep, looks good. Now we can kind of see you got a test pattern on there with different colors and different graphic types.
So I'm going to make this go away by changing to a different display buffer, and all I'm going to do is poke. I have the select lines for that connected to a latch that's piggybacked onto the display latch, so I can just poke a location and it'll go there. So I'm just going to go here and I'll pick one, and bing.
Jim Gary says he has 16384 burned into his head.
Yeah. And let's see, did that work? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not quite what I wanted. That was just changing the inverse. It was the same pattern. No, what I wanted was this. I wanted to do this. Whoops.
Remember, folks, the Bill Gates' demos don't go well either.
Oh, always, right? Always. There, so it's showing garbage because there's nothing written there.
All right.
I could try, let's see now. Let's try a different one.
Now you got to type blind.
Now I can't see what I'm doing.
Hey, poke the characters right into the memory buffer.
I'm not gonna do that, but I can, after I run this, then I can see my pokes. because I'm not very good at blindly typing. What'll work here? Maybe, let's see if this one works. There, yay.
Look at that.
So we're looking at a different region of memory, which is something that the base machine can never do. So let's move along. So those are the two additional features that I threw onto this board, because they're actually not that hard to do. Now, you may ask, what does it take to install this? And I'll just tell you very quickly. Now, this one's got some improvements on the one that's there, that's running in there. Mainly, like, I haven't really changed the circuit much because it worked fine in the 2 years ago. But what I did change is the layout. I tried to make it so you could use the shortest possible wires to reach the points on the board that you need to make it work. So you have actually all you need to make this work in its most basic form is 3 wires from the bottom and 4 wires from the top. And those are just jumper wires that run
To various points
some
on the circuit board.
Right.
Wow, 7 wires.
Yep. There's 2 more, which are the select lines, the page select lines. They're optional. If you leave them open, you're still at 4,000 and everything's peachy dandy, right? There you can bridge 2 of them and then have 2 buffers if you want, or you can use both. Then you have 4, and that part is optional, right? And then there's the external battery option, which is also optional because there's an onboard battery for you to use if you're not worried about changing it every 3-4 years. But anyway, that's that part of it. And is it a good time to stop and ask if there are any questions?
Sounds like a great time. At the moment, nobody really has anything specific, except we do have a new viewer named Bruce PB8, who is, I guess, done some work with the MC-10. So that it may be interesting to do a mod that uses a serial port, but you'd have to modify the ROM. And I pointed out you do have a larger ROM in your layout. You could have 16K. So, oh, I had a couple questions. The ROM code, is it position independent, or is it everything you specifically coded for, like, where it's located?
Are you talking about the existing?
Yeah, the existing ROM. Yeah, it's like so.
Oh, it's very fixed.
Okay, yeah. So if you tried using the mirror image, it would crash because it eventually reached a point where it's got the wrong. But it probably wouldn't crash if it had a vector or jump. It'd wind up in the right absolute jump and wind up in the right section anyway.
Oh, it would be.
It would fail spectacularly.
It would be a gamble.
Okay.
It would be fun to try. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah.
I never thought of that, but it would be fun.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
So, our audience, any questions? I don't have anybody on the panel except me and Ken. So, this sounds pretty cool. Man, if Tandy would have put this circuit in way back when, that would have made this a super cool machine. I mean, you start hacking around in the Commodore 64 and realize that you can move the character ROM into RAM and then mod it, and that you can, all the stuff you can do with the C64. Imagine this, where you could, page flipping. Heck, you could, use anything that works on a 4K RAM buffer. You could flip 4 pages, or even 2. And
okay, no, I at this point though, I have to. Yes, sir.
Jim Gary asked compatibility issues with existing software.
Sure.
Basic software. What sort of compatibility issues?
Well, we're leading up to that.
Okay, so that's coming up next.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Stay tuned,
get
Jim,
into that.
He's getting there.
Yeah. Let's just the best way to explain it is there's a hierarchy or a tier of compatibility, right? And the features that don't exist on the original machine obviously aren't supported by the original software, and could be, but that would be changing the original software, right?
Wouldn't they be invisible? I mean, if they're things beyond its ability to recognize, it just wouldn't use them.
Yes.
As long as there was RAM, where its software should be VRAM.
Well, okay. So let me just I'll just use examples. Was probably the best way to handle that one. So when you install, like, I would imagine that existing software kind of assumes that you've got 4K or maybe 20K of memory installed, but it assumes that you have 4K internal and either 0 or 16K external.
What does that memory map look like, by the way? I've heard that because of the way it's done, you can't use the extra 16K for mapping graphics, but what does that look like on your memory map?
It's simply placed above the 4K. The 16K begins at
right after the next 4K.
Yeah, right after that. And then so it goes a little bit over the halfway mark.
Okay.
And the reason, like, I was going to do a little diagram of that, but in this case, I think I can get it across with words. So there's a bridge. It's a bus buffer IC that separates the internal and external bus. And the most of the machine is on the external bus. And that includes the expansion connector on the back. So the ROM is on the external bus, the I/O is on the external bus, and there's a little kind of bridge buffer that allows access to strictly to the 4K that is 4K RAM. And the reason why the external memory cannot access it is it's on the wrong side of the bridge. It's on
the VDG chip.
Yeah, it's separated from the VDG, so it can't see it. Now, if you so when you launch BASIC Microcolor 1.0, Microcolor Basic 1.0, which is what comes with it, it does that memory check, and if the RAM pack is installed, it detects 20K total, but it doesn't change, like BASIC doesn't add any features because of that, only just more memory. Like it can have more lines of BASIC, basically.
Yeah, essentially the basic program space is allowed to grow further before it gives you the out of memory error.
Yes.
Okay.
And the graphics doesn't change
because it's still limited to 4K.
Yeah, same commands, and it's semi-graphics. They use a mode where characters are interpreted as blocky colors, and that's to keep the memory in this 512 bytes. It's all they have for display. That's all that BASIC knows. So to transfer that onto the question, which is, what does all software that was written for it, how does it see this, right? And the answer is it should see it. It makes the same assumptions that BASIC makes, right? So it assumes, okay, I have 4K. display, and I may or may not have more. And if I'm a really, really lucky owner, I might have that 8K upgrade, but you can't count on it. Like probably a few people might have it, but if you're doing a game or something, I don't know, maybe you could add a mode that supports it, but you can't assume that everyone has it because they don't. So to wrap up, that point, when you install this board, and that's all you install, you don't change anything else. What you get is that any software that that ran on the stock machine will also run perfectly on this one because it offers the same 4K, and actually it would also be able to use any software that was equipped to use the 8K upgrade, because it has more than the 8K and it's in the same place. But changing pages, unknown, right? So of course, not supported by any existing software, can't be, because it didn't exist, right? It just exists now, right?
Which I/O mapping are you using to control that? Is that in the I/O area that's unused?
Yeah, there's 2 extra bits in the VDG control latch.
Okay.
And I've piggybacked a chip on top of that to pick up the 2 additional data bits from the data bus. It latches them, and then you can bring those over. Actually, you can do anything you want with those. I've been too busy to publish it. I'm gonna push it out as a separate project, because some people might want to play with it. Like, you could use those outputs for anything, really. Turn an LED on and off, or whatever you want. Sky's the limit. Only good luck finding an input. But it's there, right? And also, when this, you'll see that there's an evolution going on here, and eventually those bits might not come from there. It's debatable whether it's a good idea, really, but it keeps it on board. One of the goals here is to keep everything inside the machine. No wires coming out, no extra stuff, right?
Right.
So basically, from a software point of view, it's identical, but with additional RAM.
Theoretically, you could have a bad program that, due to sloppiness, writes to the VDG register that would trip your hardware. Theoretically.
Well, that would be a bad thing for a stock machine too.
Oh, would it? Okay.
Yeah, actually, it'll crash if you're not careful. It'll crash the machine, I think. Let me think now. Will it? Trying to think now. I might be thinking of some. No, I'm sorry. I do too many projects. That's my SBC. That if you write the latch, the extended memory latch, at uncontrollably, you crash the machine. But in this case, the worst that can happen is you'll hear a click from the audio output and you'll lose your display. It'll go into some garbage that you don't understand. So with Jim Jerry will know this, and probably a lot of other people would know it too, but there are lots of video modes that are available beyond the one that they gave it with. And you can use those video modes if in the tiny little footprint, provided you stay, you only use 2K modes, because then you have 4K of total memory. You put your VDG in a 2K mode, and you can put your program in the remaining 2K. And that would probably be machine code. And I wouldn't doubt that there are some games that do that. In order to do that, you would write the VDG latch. In kind of retrospect, it's lucky that Tandy decided to even put a latch there. They didn't have to. They could have hardwired it. Then we would be really, really
stuck.
Yeah.
Erico said 64 by 64.
What isn't it? I think it's 32 by 24. Yeah, the display is 32 characters by 24 characters. And in semi-graphics mode, it's double because you have
twice as many bits per character.
Yeah, more pixels.
Right.
Yeah. But it's still crude. It's you know, I mean, there's lots of creative possibilities there. My friend did it back in 1983. He wrote his own game, and people used to really be attracted to it. It was sitting on the TV stand, and people used to come in and sit and play his game. At that time, it was a big deal to have a video game, to own a video game, you know, and then he had the additional brag that he wrote it himself. So it was in this chunky, blocky graphics, but hey, sometimes that's all you need, right?
Hey, Ken?
But yes.
A couple notes. We're almost at the top of the hour, so you only got a half hour more with us. Also, Jim Gary said the original 4K CoCo manuals had basic routines for using the MC-6847 CG RG modes. And Erico clarified, he said he meant the resolution mode, one of those hidden low-res 64 by 64 with 4 colors.
In basic?
I don't know if basic will let you do the hidden low-res modes, but... So what are the CG and basic RG modes?
Oh, sure. Well, the CG modes are, C stands for color and R stands for resolution. So in the VDG, they give you a choice of having 4 colors or 2 colors and double the resolution, right? It's kind of a trade-off. And if the digit tells you how many K it's using, roughly, right? So an RG3 is using resolution mode and 3K of RAM. I'm sure that I didn't understand. I'm fairly sure I did not understand that question. Yeah, not in basic. You can do it in machine code because you just you can do whatever you want in machine code. Like I said, it's very fortunate that they gave us that latch. They didn't have to, right? They could have just hardwired it. Someone probably said in the back room kind of went, "I'll be darned if I'm taking that out." I'm just not telling anyone.
Probably so.
But anyway, you can pick any of the modes, right? If you've got the memory, and the maximum that it will use is 6 kilobytes. So there's a color mode and there's a resolution mode for 6 kilobytes. And they both work on this machine. Oh, with caveats. Because on this machine doesn't handle RG modes very well because it in some of them or all of them, and I forget which, it doesn't it's considered a monochrome mode. Therefore, it does not generate a burst, a reference burst on the horizontal sync pulse with this horizontal blanking interval. That means the monitor sees no color reference signal, and depending on the monitor, it can sort of decide what it wants to do with that. And usually the results are not good. You get some kind of pale, washed out color. Now the CoCo has a special circuit to fix that. And that circuit allows you to use the RG modes, and furthermore, to use them in a way that you can generate artifact colors. But the MC-10 does not have artifact colors, cannot do artifact colors, because it does not generate a reference chroma burst on the horizontal blanking interval. So the color modes are kind of the ones that you would be using on this machine. I talked about an evolution. One of the things that you could do is you could add that CoCo circuit to this machine, and then it would do artifact colors. But there's lots of things that you might want to do first. And I'm desperately trying to get to that. If we're halfway, then I better speed things up and I regrettably maybe gloss over some things that, maybe I should stop and sort of give you some hope that I've already documented a lot of this. It's not completely finished yet, the documentation, because the design isn't 100% finished, nor have I published absolutely all the circuits and everything like that. But when it's all tested and proven good, it's all going to be 100% documented, and including gerbers, KiCad schematics and layouts, all software, which for my software is just test software, but it'll be available, right? And I have a GitHub link, which I messed up and I didn't have it ready. but when this board has been installed in a few user systems and they report back, yes, it's fine, and I know that mine is fine, and I'm happy with the way it sits as a product, then I can open the gates, and it will be fully open source, MIT licensed. Anybody can know whatever they want about it, and they can build it and sell it forever, as far as I'm concerned. There's no licensing, no limitations, and no hidden information. But sorry, did someone say something? It was just maybe Mark was just talking across the room there. Anyway, so some of the questions, some of the deeper questions you might be able to find in the documentation, and it might be more cohesive than me sitting here blabbing on a Tuesday night. Honestly, night times are not my sharpest times. I'm a morning guy.
We'll forgive you.
Yeah.
Jim Gary had another question. He said compatibility with MCX Basic. I believe that's the one that comes bundled with the MCX 128
yes.
module.
Sure, I'd be glad to answer that. So early in the development process, I worried about the MCX because I own one. Not the 128, I own the MCX 32 SD. And I perused the documentation and I thought, geez, I have to be compatible with this. And so what I believe it's Darren Atkinson is behind that.
Yes, he is. Same guy as the CoCo
Yeah,
SDC.
just so I can use the right name. So what Darren did with the MCX is with regards to video memory, is he created a window into the machine, such that all his stuff occupies a lot of, like, he's got 16K ROM, he's got RAM, and he's got the SD control stuff. I don't know. I don't know the details of that. I looked mostly at the memory map, right? And so what he's done is he's opened up an 8K window, and that is so that the 8K upgrades that people have done will be usable. And furthermore, he created routines in his enhanced basic that will utilize a 6K display mode in that window, right? And so when you plug an MCX 32SD into my box, which I have done, it works. It works exactly the same as it would on either a stock machine or a stock 8K upgraded machine, because the memory map is the same. Now, there is a catch, which is that Darren's MCX devices disable any internal memory that is where it needs to be. So it would disable the internal RAM that I've provided and substitute its own RAM, which it's got on board. And so basically, when the MCX CPU when the CPU under the MCX control looks at RAM, it sees its own memory, except the 8K slot that it's created to look into the machine, and that's identical with my board or his board. So it's 100% compatible.
Ron Delvaux wants to know, does this board have a proper name? Is there another 32K RAM upgrade? Let's see. What do let's see what I printed on it. Maple Leaf 32? Maple Surf?
I called it 32K. Such an imaginative name. 32K Memory Expansion V2.
Not to be confused with V1.
Yeah, V1 was bad. Forget V1.
I already forgot. What's V1?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one, this is the latest, actually. So I've been like leapfrogging, because things take time to go through the factory, and I get an idea, like as soon as I send it to the factory, I've got another idea. I go, oh man, I should have done this or that, right? So I do it. So then this board, it's the same board, but it's smaller. It's just smaller.
Right, no battery clip on it.
Yeah, it has a battery.
It does. On the other side?
No, it's
just
just not installed.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to see.
I see the pads.
The rectangular pads that's in there. You get a shine on it.
Yeah.
So it's just an improved layout, so that it doesn't waste as much space. That's the only difference.
Jim Gary says call it the V2, just like the rocket.
Yeah, so I'll have to rethink that one too. Although it's been a while, like, that was what, 1943 or something?
43, 44, yeah.
Yeah.
And London took it hard.
Yeah, like some old people from London might might be triggered by that. I actually I knew some people that were from Britain and had lived through it, and oh man, we have no idea. It was called the Blitz.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, the V2. No, yeah. A proper name. Okay. So I'm open to suggestions. Names, anyone? The potato chip? I don't know. I'm not good at names. Like,
A contest. We have a contest.
yeah, okay. There's an interesting thing about the other board I'm going to show you that I had trouble naming it too. But this one doesn't really have a name, and you're right. You know, like honestly, Ron, that's an issue. It should have a name. Yeah, absolutely right. I'll work on it. I'll think about it tonight. So just trying to think how much, if I've really missed anything crucial. And I think that's let me just, the best thing to do now before I move on is just go back to the share and just see if I forgot anything in the memory map there. So,
And we have it up again. Excellent.
it's showing, and
Nice.
now see if I've thought, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So yesterday I had some time to play with it, and I thought, you know what? Basic isn't really using this space efficiently. And I can move my VRAM to 2000. If I move my VRAM to 2000 and tell Basic to start lower, to start at 2000, I'll have 24K. And so I did that. I have an assembly listing of Microcolor Basic 1.0, and which was, by the way, James D on the Discord did a project several years ago, of enhancing
ROMs.
the Basic to be a little bit more efficient, faster.
Yep.
And so I got my hands on that source, and so I'm able to play with Basic to the extent that I understand it, which is not much, right? But I did find the hooks to be able to tell it where to begin, right? So I was able to convince it, yeah, okay, we're going to move down, and we're going to use we're going to use 3/4 of the 32K. Why not the whole thing? It's because the 6803 CPU has it registers and stuff down there, which would be right in the display window. So you would see the CPU doing its thing. You can't use it, right?
Might be handy for debugging.
It's fun to know. It's fun to watch. And
Bruce PB8 suggested the MC-32X for the name.
maybe I'll write it down. I'll take.
I said,
Okay, maybe you can, if you can try and remember that for me, it would be
it's in
sweet.
the chat. It'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
send it
All
to
right.
you. Isn't yours called the one you got from Zipster called the MCX32?
I don't want to sound too much like the MCX though.
Yeah, that's what I thought might be confusing being so close, but I don't know. It's a little bit different. So, it's a name. Okay. Oh, by the way, you got about 15 minutes till your your drop dead time. So
Okay. So basically, I haven't used all of it, but that leaves 8K of spare RAM, which, since it's battery backed up, you could also fill it with stuff and use it, and it's always there, right? It's sort of like almost like a secondary ROM. Now, if it's 15 minutes, I've spent too much time on the memory board, but um,
it's all educational.
maybe what?
It's all educational. And by the way, on the back porch one, where is your video buffer? Or is it just in the 24K space?
Okay, we'll figure this out. So the back porch, I need to power this down so I can pull it off and show you what it is. And get rid of this. No, well, before I go, so the back porch is a plug-in that goes in the back of the MC-10, and it has a ROM and a UART. That's it. So the UART is located at this B400 to B5FF in the I/O space. It overlays the onboard latch by being just below it, and all the software in the world wisely uses BFFF as the functioning address for the latch, even though it could use 8000, but that would be a travesty because it would ruin things for any memory stuff that you wanted to plug in there. And anyway, because of that, it's safe to use this area, and it doesn't change anything except the 16K ROM there is real. It's an actual flash ROM, and you can program 16K into it. You can program 128K into it, but 8 pages. You pick a page with jumpers, so 1 of 8 pages can be there. This adds the UART in the middle of the pink space in there at B400, and everything else is the same, except I showed you now there's a 24K basic workspace because I made that change, because now I'm not limited by the internal ROM. I can run from the external ROM, and it can make the rules. And the device itself.
So you could do something like the CoCo 3 where you would load the ROM into the flash RAM and then patch it to handle larger space.
Yeah, you could. Well, there's different ways, different approaches. Like a really wild machine would be all RAM, and then you could load, like the CoCo 3, I think, where you can load the entire ROM into RAM. It wouldn't be wise on this machine because there isn't enough RAM. It isn't just that the amounts of things, it's the way they're laid out. It's sort of dictated to you by their economy decoding circuit. It's one IC. Like they're decoding. It's not the whole thing, but the part that really does the lion's share of the decoding is one chip. So it's hard to get around that. Like you're better off just falling in love with a different machine if you want to do things like that, But what you can do is you could load whatever you want from ROM, and you could move it into that 8K RAM in the bottom, or anywhere else in RAM if you want. You do have 32K of total, and if you are in control of things, you can use it however you want. And it's battery backed up, so you can use it as a sort of virtual ROM because it'll be there after a power cycle. Now I'm back in person, and I can show you the back. Oh, the name that it was given first, I was told, is not family friendly. So I renamed it the back porch. So this is so this is so this one is actually two pieces. This one here, it's really hard to show actually. I wasn't counting on this. It's not showing up.
You should take still photos and then just bring them up as a slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next time.
Yep.
So it has this kind of a base
connector.
unit.
Yep.
This goes to the MC-10. This vertical is a 40-pin connector. It's a slightly different bus protocol, but it's got all the same signals on it. And then this is a board this is actually the back porch. It's just a flash and a UART.
And a crystal.
And there's the crystal to drive the UART.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So
basically,
how do you connect something to? Is there a UART port? You got like three or 5 lines.
yeah, there's pins on this side,
Okay.
and they're actually arranged so that I can plug one in here. So I have adapters. I have adapters on sockets that. Oh man, sorry man.
Oh,
It's hard
USB.
to. There you go. So I'm plugging that in.
Right. It's one of those like FTDI USB to
Yeah.
serial board things.
So the idea is, this is really more for hackers than like everyday users. Although, like it could go in bigger directions. It already did, but it didn't work. So this is another kind of expansion board, and it's got this has there's the flash. It's a PLCC flash. That's the MC-10 plug. It's got 3 slots, and this last slot has an adapter with an edge connector on it, so that you can daisy chain an MCX or some kind of any kind of existing plug-in will go into this. In fact, because I followed the MCX memory map fairly closely, you can actually use devices in these slots with the MC-10 if you're clever and can program it right. From a hardware point of view, you could have a TI 9918A display, sound chip, anything, like a lot of different things you could plug in here, I/O, or a prototyping board.
Or you can make game cartridges.
Game carts. Or, like if you have serious stuff on here, you could put a game cart on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. And the way the logic works, the one on the end is the boss. So the MC-10 by itself, it's itself. You plug this in, then this takes over, right? And it's the boss. You plug the MCX into the back, that's disabled. Now the MCX is the boss.
Uh-huh.
But when you do that, it doesn't disable the bus, only the flash, because this bus is addressed in a place that is MCX compatible. But this thing doesn't work, and I haven't had the patience or time to debug it. It's going to be a big one, I think, and I just haven't had the time. But when I do, I'm looking forward to making it work, but not yet. It's just not going to happen right now, So, but it's part of the plan, right? The big plan.
Got 5 minutes till your family comes in with pitchforks and torches.
Oh, you're right. Wow, how about that?
Yeah, I want you to come back again sometime, so I don't want to get on their bad side.
Okay. So The
questions? Do we have any questions? So it looks like we have 18 people watching the stream so far. I'm one of them, and give a moment for people to get their questions together. By the way, I'd like to put in a little plug here. I actually got a message from a kind of a lurker who watches the CoCo Nation, but doesn't usually watch on Saturdays because of work conflicts or life conflicts. But he suggested something to me. So a few years ago, Mr. Dave 6309 suggested the Game On Challenge. Basically, we'd be together and we'd play a game, and post your scores and stuff. So he was suggesting something. I guess it's kind of like the. I remember there was a programming challenge when I first got into the CoCo in about 2013, 4K basic program. So anyway, the guy's name is Just Mike, and basically he was talking about a spiral contest from the Undercover magazine from '84. Basically having a multi-week programming contest, kind of like the Game On Challenge. Many CoCo users are not game players, but dabble in basic programming. So anyway, he's come up with a few ideas that he sent me. So I'm thinking maybe we should do this like maybe once a month, have a 1 month programming challenge for something. And by the way, Septandy is coming right up, and a lot of people take challenges up for that. So we posted a couple ideas here. I'll leave them just here for the moment, but basically an outline of what people to do, some basic outline of just the program, things to use, and then basically we have some judges to go through and look how well you did on the program. Anyway, you're down to 3 minutes now, Ken, so I will turn this back over to you. Any questions? Anybody have anything that they want to ask Ken here? Well, he's got a chance. And I'm not seeing any other questions. I think everybody's happy.
Okay. I think I'm not good at summarizing and keeping things short. And so, as always, I'm sort of like tight at the end and feel that I might have missed some things. But actually, I think the only thing really that remained the only thing that remains is how does it work, but actually that's kind of tedious, and although it's I guess it would interest some people.
We can always do a talk later. I've said the idea behind CoCoTECH is keep it down to 2 to 3 hours, maybe keep it pretty concise, and we can do another one if need be. If you want to come back in a few months, once you have the stuff stabilized, then we can have a breakdown talk about how it works. Not everybody's going to be interested, but there will be people that will be. So
maybe just to, if I could just give a kind of a sort of overview explanation of why I did things the way I did. See, the memory upgrade was kind of a no-brainer. It's just kind of obvious that it would be perfect, right? So I did it, and then I just tried to make it as best I can.
It's the biggest limitation is RAM. I mean, on the
yes,
that's the biggest
100%.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, and video, but
And
they're
video.
related.
Yeah, and they're video related.
It's yeah.
Yep.
And but on the MC-10, it's very, very difficult to change the ROM, and especially if you don't take it apart, because this part is the ROM. So obviously, first this has to come off. Secondly, it's a non-standard ROM. It's very nearly impossible to find anything that's pin compatible.
Probably a mask ROM with the pins rearranged.
Yep. And so there's a software limitation, right? So that's the thing. If you fire it up, it only sees half the memory. Well, that's disappointing, right? So that's sort of why the back porch idea came around, because I thought, yeah, I need some control of the software here when it boots up, and I don't want to go through the roundabout way, because you can load you can load machine language through this cassette port. But then every time you hit the reset button, you're back to square one, right? You have to run it again, and maybe you'd exec it or something like that, right? But you don't really have full control, right? This by changing the ROM, it gives you control, and it gives you the ability to maybe upgrade BASIC to do just like Darren has done. Or you can actually use the MCX because it actually does support it, right? But this one is so that I could do it. And the UART is so that, because I like it that way. I like to talk to the machine serial. That's my way, right?
You can port
I don't
OS
like
9 to OS 3, and then you can run a terminal.
Well, yeah, the serial too. Once you have it there, you've got possibilities like DriveWire, terminal,
Yep.
many other things, right? And but it's really sort of it's sort of a question mark on the roadmap right now. It's more like my little convenience, you know. So I could say it's sort of like a developer's tool, if you like, you know.
Yep.
But it could develop or expand into something like that other board that I showed you, which does more. Oh, I'm over time, aren't I? But okay, so yeah.
Okay, we can wrap it up here.
Okay.
By the way, you have some accolades. So your fans, Jim Gary says thanks for the talk and keep on MC-10ing. Erico Montero says yes, great talk and explanation, very objective, super thanks. Zaphod Pad has just chimed in. Hello all, just a quick comment, super little project. And Jim Gary follows up with great hardware additions to our Eco Computer Extraordinaire. So you have some fans.
It's my pleasure, and I have to say I do enjoy this work/play. It's really been a real journey and super fun, and I'm just starting to, like, the last few days playing with it have been sheer joy, just endless fun, and also I wouldn't be having nearly as much fun, and I wouldn't know a lot that I know if it were not for the people that I've met online through the Discord and the CoCo Nation. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. We're trying to be a community service. That's what we're all doing there. So CoCo Discord, the CoCo Nation, and just trying to further the community and the literally the community and the friendship. You know, we're all friends in real life as well as remotely. So does that wrap it up for you now, Ken?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for joining.
I'd like to throw in a couple more plugs here. Again, this is the CoCo Nation Network. I deemed it that. Nobody's contradicted me yet. We have coming up in 2 days, 2 evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. my time, Pacific. We have the Game On Challenge live with Sloopy and Ken. And let's see, our 2 games this week, I think, are... what are our 2 games this week? I'm really bad. I can't remember what the 2 games are. We got 2 games we're playing. Check out the CoCo Discord. You can join the CoCo Discord by going to http://discord.thecoconation.com. Join the welcome channel, and if I see you there, you follow the questions, and we will be able to get you on there. You can go to the Game On Challenge channel, and you'll see the 2 games that we're playing. And then beyond that, we have our regular CoCo Nation stream on Saturday live, and Ken has been on a lot of them recently. Thank you, Ken, for showing up. It works because we show up, and we appreciate all of you out there who tune in and watch live, or even after the fact. I haven't checked the numbers, but usually we get 250 to 450 views every week on YouTube for the CoCo Nation. So, you know, it's not big, it's not huge, we're not making money, but boy, you know, we got a community, and it's worldwide. And thank you to all our Dragon friends over in the UK and on the continent, and to our fellow Brazilians with their CP400s and other related machines that are all part of the big CoCo family. And thank you, Ken, for being here, and I'm sure let's follow up in a few months after you get this kind of more stabilized. And you have these on a GitHub or something, where you have the software? I noticed you have the open source logo on your stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being unprepared about that, but yes, there is a GitHub.
Okay.
And the memory board is already up there, the first one. And it'll be updated with every significant improvement. Once it's proven on the bench.
Prove it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should visit this again once you get that stable, so you have a stable release, and then we'll go into the intricate details.
Well, that's not far off, actually.
Okay, well, I got time.
There's a few people building it right now.
Are there? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be cool to, once you get it kind of finalized where you want, that give a chance to people to build one, and then maybe join you, and we can, people can bring up what they're working on and what they're seeing and all that, and maybe we'll have a really cool interactive show. So, okay, well, thank you very much, Ken, for coming, and thank your family for letting you carve out an hour and a half of time, and thank my wife for carving out an hour and a half of time. That's a wrap for this CoCoTECH, and we'll see you hopefully on Thursday playing the game on Challenge. So I'm going to say sayonara, and we're out of here. Let's roll the ending credits, which I really don't have any, so I'm just going to push the CoCoTECH intro. And